Hello and welcome back to the channel. We're gearing up here ready for housing, midnight and all other exciting things coming in World of Warcraft. Today though, we're talking about Legion Remix. Yes, the game mode that seems to have the community divided. Like Marmite, you either love it or hate it, and for me, I love it. I have to say, I've spent an unhealthy amount of time in Remix since it launched, with around about 3 days /played at the time of recording this. I'm currently 736 eye level. This could be the maximum of 740 with the items in my bags, but I'll tell you why I'm not equipping these later in the video. I've got just under 5 million infinite power, 25 infinite knowledge, and rank 95 of limits unbound on my artifact weapon. Now, before some of you say, you clearly exploited and farmed infinite power before it was nerfed, nope. I've done all of this legitimately just by playing the game. I've had a lot of people asking me things like, how did you level so fast? How did you gear up so fast? How are you so powerful? So today, I'm going to give you all of the tips and tricks on how to get overpowered in Phase 1 of Legion Remix. Let's dive into it. So my first tip is for leveling. There's obviously a lot of ways to do this, but I'll tell you how I did it with my first character. Now, I'm playing a warrior, and I started by first questing and obtaining my artifact weapon for all 3 specializations. This gave me a massive initial boost in XP and helped a lot on the journey. I then chose to go with Prot Warrior for leveling due to it being a tank class and having the best survivability. My play then was to level mainly by questing, but at the same time queuing for normal dungeons as much as I possibly could. Now, the order of zones that I used when questing was Azuna, Stormheim, Val'sharah, and High Mountain. At level 25, I switched into Heroic World Tier mode by speaking to Eternus in the Infinite Bazaar and using the Console of Infinite Chaos just next to her. Whilst you're questing in these zones, you should also be going back to the Infinite Bazaar frequently and picking up your Infinite Research quests from Eternus. These are a huge boost in both XP and gear. By the time I was around halfway through High Mountain, I was level 80, which took just under 11 hours of playtime. Now, this isn't the fastest by any means, but it's a solid way to level. One important note here, at level 70, be sure to visit Moritari in the Infinite Bazaar, who will give you a quest to complete that will give you a massive 250% XP boost for the final 10 levels. This is a massive help. Once you hit level 80, it's then time to start gearing up, so here are my tips. First, make sure you speak to Lida Marutu every day in the Infinite Bazaar. She will give you a quest that rewards you with a piece of jewelry. It's important that you don't scrap any of these, and I'll come on to why in a few minutes. Next, you need to still be completing all of the Infinite Research quests from Eternus that you can as often as possible. These are a huge boost. From here, the best ways to gear are to make sure that you're doing both raids, Trial of Valor and Emerald Nightmare on all difficulties, normal, heroic and mythic every day. Not only can they drop some good gear, but they're also going to give you a large amount of fragmented mementos of epoch challenges, as well as motes of a broken time. After this, I recommend continuing to complete any quests that are available. In my case, I completed as much of my Class Hall campaign as I could. I completed quests in Suramar so that I could get the Lore Master of Legion achievement, and just anything that's available on the map. These are also going to give you a massive XP boost to your overall XP gain from infinite power, which will help all of your future ults. I'm currently sitting at 159% XP boost for all characters. A lot of people will say that you need to do all world quests, rares, bosses every day. And I'm sure this will be a huge boost in power too, but to be honest, I haven't done a single one of these, and I'm already powerful enough to be soloing lower level Mythic Plus keys. Which brings me on to the next gearing option that helped me a huge amount, and that is Mythic Plus. Now, if you're not a Mythic Plus player in retail or you're too scared to jump into it, just give it a try. In Remix, it's so simple and most people will blast through these dungeons in just a few minutes, which is exactly what I've been doing over and over again. I found the most efficient way was to get a low-level key, for example the +2 key that you start with from Lindormi, and complete it, which will most likely increase your key to a +5 due to how fast you complete the dungeon. Do the +5, then a +9, go back to Lindormi, drop the key back down to a +3, then do 3, 6, 9, and repeat the process. Each one of these dungeons is going to give you in the region of 10 or more motes of a broken time, which means every dungeon you complete, you're getting at least one piece of gear. I ran these dungeons over and over for 2 days straight to get all of the gear I need. Now for the important part though. If you want the best chance at higher item level gear, then don't just use these motes of a broken time as soon as you get them. The same goes for the epic chests that you get from completing infinite research quests. The item level of gear that drops from these is determined by the item level of your artifact weapon, which can be upgraded using artifactium sand. Now this sand is quite hard to come by, but here is the optimal way to use the items in your bags and be most efficient. First, open any of the lower level green chests that you get from questing. Then scrap any gear that isn't an upgrade, except for neck, rings and trinkets. It's important to keep these. If you're lucky, scrapping will give you some sand. Now use this to upgrade your weapon. Now that your weapon is upgraded, you can use the motes to get some more gear. It's important for me to say here that the item level increase is incremental, meaning you're not going to get 740 gear when your weapon's only like 600 eye level. It's only going to go up by a few levels each time, but by following this method, it's going to give you the best gains possible. Now back to that jewelry. Why have I told you to keep hold of these? Well, jewelry is one item where eye level is not as important as the traits that it provides. There is certain best in slot items that will give you the best DPS possible. For the next slot, this is the pendant of the watchful eye with the touch of malice trait. For rings, the seal of the Nazjatar Empire with the terror from below trait, and if you're melee, the band of callous dominance with the volatile magic trait. But for casters, it would be the grasping tentacle loop with the brewing storm trait. For trinkets, the lure of the unknown depths with the terror from below trait, and the volatile chaos talisman with the touch of malice trait. The combination of these jewelry pieces will increase your DPS dramatically, and having the right combination of these traits matters significantly more than the item level of those items. I went from being low on the DPS tables in dungeons to now dominating them and doing at least 4 times more DPS than others, even with lower item level jewelry. The only thing left to do then, and where I am at the minute, is to keep farming dungeons and raids until you finally get the item level 740 jewelry drops. If you follow all of these tips, you'll be super overpowered and able to fly through content in the same way you've seen those pesky demon hunters solo in dungeons. The most important tip of all though, is to enjoy the game however you want to enjoy it. Don't forget, you can catch me live 3 times a week over at twitch.tv/guildofgold_official. Until next time.